Ladies and gentlemen, please listen. You stayed silent, and their own guilt started speaking louder. Silence is a weapon. Silence is a storm. Silence is the loudest sound in the room when guilt begins to echo. They expected you to scream. They expected you to fight. They expected you to explain yourself, to beg, to justify, to break. But you didn't. You stayed silent, and that silence became their nightmare. Listen to me. The most powerful revenge is not shouting. It's not proving. It's not chasing. It's not even exposing. The most powerful revenge is silence, because silence forces them to hear their own thoughts. Silence forces them to face themselves. Silence forces them to confront the truth they've been running from. And guilt has a voice. A voice that whispers at first. A voice they can ignore for a while. But over time, that whisper turns into a scream. And no matter where they go, no matter who they run to, no matter how loud they try to distract themselves, that guilt follows. Before I go deeper, I need to stop here for a second. If this message is already striking you, if you feel like I'm speaking directly to your soul, then pause right now. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Drop a comment about the battle you're in, about where silence has given you strength. Because this is not just a video. This is a war cry for those who refuse to bow, and for those of you who keep coming back, who keep showing loyalty. I thank you. You are the backbone of this movement. You prove that strength recognizes strength. Now, let's continue. People underestimate silence. They think silence means weakness. They think silence means defeat. But silence is strategy. Silence is discipline. Silence is control. When you choose silence, you refuse to waste energy. You refuse to lower yourself into chaos. You refuse to dance with clowns. Instead, you let their own actions burn them. Look back at history. Look at the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. understood the power of silence and nonviolence. His silence in the face of hatred wasn't weakness. It was a mirror. It forced the world to see who the real villains were. It forced the guilty to carry the weight of their own actions. Silence exposed them more than words ever could. Pause here for a second. Let this sink in. And while it sinks in, I'll remind you again. If this is hitting you hard, subscribe right now. Like this video. Drop a comment telling me how silence has been your weapon. Because this channel is not just content. It's a gathering of warriors, and I want you in that circle. Now, let's go even deeper. You need to understand this. When you stay silent, you're not losing the fight. You're controlling it. You're forcing them to fight themselves. Because guilt is a war they cannot win. They may laugh in public. They may act like they're unbothered. They may parade replacements in front of you. But deep down, when the night is quiet, when their distractions fade, their guilt crawls in, and it screams louder than anything you could ever say. You didn't need to break them. They broke themselves, because every lie they told, every betrayal they carried, every game they played, silence makes it echo. And echoes don't go away. This is psychology. The human brain is wired to seek closure. When it doesn't get it, the mind begins to create its own answers. And those answers are almost always worse than the truth. Your silence forced them into that prison, and now their mind is the jailer. Think about it. You walked away in silence. You didn't argue. You didn't beg. You didn't explain. And now they're haunted with questions. Why didn't you fight for me? Why didn't you shout? Why didn't you explain? Why didn't you collapse without me? Your silence planted doubts inside their head, and those doubts are poison. Hear me closely. Silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is the presence of mastery. It is self-control. It is discipline. It is strategy. It is the refusal to let anyone else dictate your energy. But silence doesn't mean doing nothing. Silence means shifting your focus. Instead of wasting energy on noise, you build, you train, you sharpen, you grow. And when the time comes, your silence explodes into results. This is why silence is feared, because they can't predict you. They can't read you. They can't control you. Your silence leaves them blind, and blindness breeds paranoia. Paranoia breeds guilt, and guilt destroys them from the inside. The greatest battles are not fought with swords. They're fought with conscience, and guilt is the sharpest blade. The moment you stayed silent, you handed them that blade, and now they're cutting themselves with it. So, let me tell you this. Never underestimate the power of silence. Never mistake it for weakness, and never let anyone trick you into giving it up. Because silence is your shield. Silence is your weapon. Silence is your crown. And in the end, it's not your words that will destroy them. It's their guilt. Their guilt will eat them alive. Their guilt will speak louder than your revenge ever could. Their guilt will finish what you started by doing nothing. Remember this. You stayed silent, and their own guilt started speaking louder.